Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Billionaire Chronicles, where we explore the stories of the world's richest and most influential people. Today, we're going to talk about a man who was once the seventh wealthiest person on the planet, with a net worth of $35 billion. He had a mining and oil empire, a supermodel wife, a lavish lifestyle, and a dream of becoming the richest man in the world. But in just 2 years, he lost almost everything and ended up in prison for corruption and money laundering. His name is Eike Batista, and this is his rise and fall. Eike Batista was born in 1956 in Brazil, the second of 7 children of a prominent businessman and a German mother. He grew up in a wealthy and privileged environment and moved to Europe with his family when he was a teenager. He studied metallurgy in Germany but dropped out to pursue his entrepreneurial ambitions. He returned to Brazil in the early 1980s and started his own gold trading company at the age of 23. He made millions of dollars by buying gold from miners in the Amazon and selling it to buyers in Brazil and Europe. Batista soon expanded his business into other sectors, such as mining, energy, logistics, shipbuilding, and real estate. He founded the EBX Group, a conglomerate of companies that had an X in their names, which symbolized the multiplication of wealth. He also became the CEO of TVX Gold, a Canadian mining company that operated gold and silver mines in Brazil, Canada, and Chile. By 2010, Batista had amassed a fortune of $30 billion, making him the richest person in Brazil and one of the top 10 richest people in the world. Batista was not shy about flaunting his wealth and success. He lived in a luxurious mansion in Rio de Janeiro, with a swimming pool filled with mineral water and a Mercedes-Benz SLR McLaren parked in the living room. He owned several yachts, helicopters, jets, and sports cars. He eloped with Luma de Oliveira, a famous Brazilian model and carnival queen, and had 2 sons with her. He also sponsored various sports events and cultural projects in Brazil, such as the Rio de Janeiro Olympic bid. Batista was confident that he could achieve even greater heights. He founded OGX, an oil and gas company that claimed to have discovered huge offshore reserves in Brazil. He also invested in other ventures, such as solar power plants, iron ore mines, ports, and hotels. He predicted that his net worth would surpass $100 billion by 2020, making him the richest man in the world. But things started to go wrong for Batista in 2012. His oil company OGX failed to deliver on its promises of production and profitability. The oil fields turned out to be much less productive than expected, and the company faced technical difficulties and rising costs. The market value of OGX plummeted by more than 90%, dragging down the value of Batista's other companies as well. Investors lost confidence in Batista's credibility and vision. Batista tried to save his empire by selling assets, raising capital, restructuring debt, and cutting costs. But it was too late. His companies defaulted on their obligations, filed for bankruptcy protection, or were sold for pennies on the dollar. His creditors sued him for billions of dollars. His personal wealth evaporated from $35 billion to less than $1 billion in just 2 years. But that was not the end of Batista's troubles. In 2017, he was arrested for paying bribes to Sergio Cabral, the former governor of Rio de Janeiro state. The bribes were part of a massive corruption scheme involving state-owned oil company Petrobras, which involved dozens of politicians and businessmen. Batista was accused of paying $16.5 million to Cabral through a fake gold mine deal in exchange for public contracts and favors. In 2018, he was convicted of corruption and money laundering and sentenced to 30 years in prison. He is currently under house arrest pending appeal. Eike Batista's story is one of the most dramatic examples of how fortunes can rise and fall in the world of business. It shows how ambition can lead to success or failure, depending on how it is pursued and managed. It also shows how corruption can undermine the rule of law and economic development in a country. What do you think of Eike Batista's rise and fall? Do you admire his achievements or despise his actions? Do you think he deserves his fate or not? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.